Security stands too close. I feel his presence hovering as I pack my desk into a cardboard box that smells like old storage rooms. My hands shake as I reach for the framed photo of my niece. The box cuts into my forearms, the edges sharp and unforgiving. Across the open office floor in Miami, my ex-husband Warren doesn't speak. He just watches from his corner office, arms crossed, face blank. Rain streaks down the glass windows behind him like the building itself is crying for me. Colleagues who chatted with me this morning now stare at their screens. I don't ask why this is happening. I already know the official reason. Budget cuts, restructuring, the usual corporate lies. Instead, I ask myself one thing. What do they think I don't know? Because as I walk past Warren's office one last time, carrying everything I've built here in a flimsy box, I realize something. They fired the wrong person. Before I continue, please smash the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you keep getting our stories. Drop your comments if you've ever been betrayed. The HR manager, a woman named Vanessa who I trained 2 years ago, sits across from me with papers she won't let me read closely. It's just restructuring, Kayla. Nothing personal. Her voice is scripted, practiced. Through the glass wall, I see Warren in the hallway. He smiles. Not at me, at someone passing by. But I see it. That smile he rehearsed. The one that says he's won. Vanessa slides my severance agreement across the table. You'll need to sign here and here. I reach for my badge to scan into the parking garage after this meeting. But when I swipe it at the reader on my way out, there's only a dead click. Deactivated. They'd already erased me from the system before telling me I was fired. That sound, that hollow final click, stays with me as I drive home in silence. I nod through it all. Calm. Collected. Professional. But inside, something fractures. And that fracture becomes focus. Flashback to 3 years ago. I'm at my desk at 9 p.m., the office empty except for the hum of computers and the distant sound of the cleaning crew. Cold coffee sits in a mug I haven't washed in 2 days. I'm running numbers for a client pitch Warren will present tomorrow. My analysis. My projections. My strategy. Thanks for staying late, he says, appearing behind me. We're still married then, still pretending we're partners. Team player, I say smiling. He squeezes my shoulder. Takes the presentation file. His name goes on the cover slide. I tell myself loyalty matters. That putting in the work, being reliable, being indispensable. It all matters. Late nights. Unpaid overtime. Ideas I gave away because that's what good employees do. That's what good wives do. Turns out, loyalty only mattered to me. To them, I was just convenient. Useful. Disposable. And loyalty blinded me to the numbers I should have been watching. My firing spreads through industry circles within hours. LinkedIn fills with condolences that feel like obituaries. Wishing you the best in your next chapter. People I haven't spoken to in years suddenly feel compelled to reach out. But I also see the whispered judgments. The speculation. A former colleague posts something vague about workplace dynamics and personal complications. Everyone knows Warren and I divorced 18 months ago. Everyone assumes that's why I'm gone. He couldn't work with her anymore. Too much history. Awkward situation. I don't defend myself. I don't post a cheerful statement about new beginnings. Instead, I start reading. I pull up TechFlow Industries financial statements, the company where I just spent 6 years, the company Warren now runs as VP of Operations, the company that just fired me. I read every quarterly report from the past 3 years. Because financial statements never lie. People do. But numbers don't. At my kitchen table in my small Tampa apartment, bills spread out like crime scene evidence. Rent. Insurance. Student loans. My severance will cover 2 months. Maybe 3 if I'm careful. I open TechFlow's last quarterly report on my laptop, the one filed just 3 weeks ago. I know these reports. I used to help prepare them. But now I'm reading as an outsider. Something feels off. A line item in the operating expenses section. A rounding error that shouldn't exist. 17 million in consulting services that jumps to 19 million the next quarter, then back to 17 million. But the footnote says it's a recurring fixed cost. Fixed costs don't jump. I checked the previous year. Same pattern. Different numbers, same inconsistency. I pull up vendor disclosure forms. The consulting firm listed is registered in Delaware with no website, no online presence. I write down the name. My hands are shaking. Small mistakes expose big arrogance. And Warren was always arrogant. I almost stop. My cursor hovers over the close button. This hurts too much. Looking at the company that rejected me. Analyzing the decisions made by the man who divorced me and then fired me. Every spreadsheet feels like pressing on a bruise. But then I see my bank balance. Rent is due in 12 days. Pride is expensive, and I can't afford it anymore. Survival isn't pretty. It's cold and calculated and desperate. But survival wins. I keep digging. I pull up 3 years of expense reports. I cross-reference vendor payments with public business registries. I compare executive compensation disclosures with internal org charts I still remember. And slowly, carefully I find a pattern. Payments that don't match services. Bonuses that exceed board-approved limits. Contracts awarded to shell companies with addresses that don't exist. It's not massive fraud. It's not Enron-level corruption. But it's there. Hidden in the complexity. Camouflaged by jargon. And I find it because I know where to look. Vendor costs inflated by 12% across the board, but always just under the threshold that would trigger audit reviews. Consulting fees duplicated between 2 departments. The same invoice paid twice, 6 months apart. Executive bonuses disguised as retention incentives that bypass shareholder approval requirements. I create a spreadsheet. I document everything. Dates. Amounts. Discrepancies. I don't have proof of intent, but I have proof of pattern. And patterns don't lie. I swallow hard, staring at the numbers that represent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. My stomach twists. Warren always said I didn't understand the business side. That I was too focused on details. That I worried too much about small things. But these aren't small things. These are violations. Maybe legal gray areas. Maybe outright fraud. I don't know yet. What I do know is this. They didn't fire me because I was weak or incompetent or difficult. They fired me because I knew too much. The memory snaps back like a rubber band. 6 months ago. A meeting I wasn't invited to. I'd walked past the conference room and seen Warren inside with the CFO, the head of procurement, and 2 board members. The door was closed. The blinds were down. When I asked Warren about it later, he waved it off. Just boring operational stuff. You wouldn't understand this part. I'd felt small. Dismissed. Now I pull up the company's board meeting minutes from that month. Filed publicly, as required. The meeting I wasn't invited to isn't mentioned. No record. No minutes. No agenda. I check procurement contracts filed that same week. A $7 million consulting agreement with a firm I've never heard of. Approved without competitive bidding. I cross-reference the signature on the contract. Warren's. I understand it now. I wasn't excluded because I was unimportant. I was excluded because I would have asked questions. And questions were dangerous. No revenge fantasies. No angry confrontations. No plan to expose them publicly and watch them burn. Not yet. That's not how you win. Revenge is loud and satisfying and temporary. Power is quiet and patient and permanent. I open a brokerage account. Transfer $3,000. Most of what's left in my savings after paying rent. Nothing dramatic. Just a simple online account with an investment firm Warren would never use. I don't call lawyers. I don't contact the SEC. I don't send threatening emails. I just sit in my apartment, staring at my laptop screen, and I make one decision. I'm going to buy stock in TechFlow Industries. Not a lot. Not enough to matter. Just enough to start. Because power doesn't announce itself. It accumulates. And I'm very good at accumulating data, understanding patterns, and playing the long game. Warren taught me that. He just didn't realize I was learning. Please smash the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you keep getting our stories. Drop your comments if you've ever been betrayed. I pull out my divorce settlement. It's been 18 months, but I haven't looked at it since my lawyer sent the final version. I was too hurt, too tired, too ready to be done. Now I read every page. Every clause. Every addendum. My hands shake as I find it on page 47. A small paragraph in dense legal language about investment rights and asset separation. Warren had insisted on it, actually. During the divorce, he'd wanted to make sure I couldn't claim any future interest in TechFlow if the company went public or got acquired. His lawyer had drafted this clause giving me explicit permission to invest in the company independently, while waiving any marital claim to his stock options or equity. At the time, his lawyer called it symbolic, a formality to close any loopholes. Warren had smirked and said, "It's not like you're going to buy stock in my company." He was right to dismiss it then. I had no money, no reason, no plan. Symbolic. Until it isn't. TechFlow is publicly traded, but thinly. Most shares are held by the founding family and early investors. The float, the shares actually available to buy, is small. I purchased 200 shares. It costs me $2,800 at $14 per share. So small it doesn't trigger any disclosure requirements. So small it doesn't appear on any insider watch lists. So small that no one notices. Not the compliance department. Not the investor relations team. Not Warren. I'm just another retail investor. Another nobody buying a few shares through an online broker. Exactly how I want it. I don't plan to stop at 200 shares. But I need time. I need capital. I need the price to move in my favor. So I wait. I watch. I work a freelance consulting gig to pay my bills. And every week, I buy a few more shares. 10 here. 15 there. Building position like I'm building a case. This is only step 1. 3 months after my firing, an investor forum on a financial website explodes. Someone posts a detailed analysis of TechFlow's cash flow problems. Questions about liquidity. Concerns about governance. The anonymous poster points out the same inconsistencies I found. The consulting fees, the vendor relationships, the executive compensation patterns. I didn't post it. I don't know who did. But the stock dips. $14 becomes $12. Then 11. I watch my initial investment lose value. My 200 shares are now worth less than I paid. But I'm not worried. Fear creates opportunity. While other small investors are selling in panic, I'm buying. I sell a piece of jewelry Warren gave me for our anniversary. It gets me $1,500. I buy more shares at $11. I pick up freelance work. Every extra dollar goes into TechFlow stock. By the end of month 4, I own 800 shares. Still not enough to matter. Still invisible. But growing. The company pays a small quarterly dividend. 60 cents per share. It's not much. Most investors take the cash. I don't. I enroll in a dividend reinvestment plan. DRIP. Every dividend automatically buys more shares. Compounding. Then those new shares generate more dividends next quarter. Which buy more shares. Slow. Legal. Precise. It's how wealth actually builds, not through dramatic gestures, but through patient mathematical accumulation. I stop feeling small. I stop feeling powerless. Every morning, I check my brokerage account and see the share count tick up. 800 becomes 850. Then 900. I'm still working freelance. Still living in my small apartment. Still watching every dollar. But I'm not the person who left TechFlow with a cardboard box 6 months ago. That person was defeated. This person is focused. And they still don't see me. Warren has no idea I exist in his company's shareholder registry. No idea I'm reading every filing, Every disclosure, every footnote. No idea I'm building something he can't stop. Month 7. Something shifts inside TechFlow. I see it in the earnings call transcript. Executives blame each other for missed targets. The CFO says operations overspent. The COO says finance didn't allocate resources properly. Warren, as VP of Operations, sounds defensive when an analyst asks about the consulting expenses I've been tracking. Those are strategic partnerships essential to our growth, he says. But his voice has an edge. 2 weeks later, emails leak. I don't know how. Someone inside the company sends them to a business reporter. The emails show executives arguing about who approved certain contracts. Accusations of poor oversight. Finger-pointing about compliance failures. The culture is fracturing. I watch the stock drop to $9. My position is down 40% from my initial purchase. But I buy more. Warren's stress makes him sloppy. When people are defensive, they make mistakes. And mistakes create opportunities for people who are watching. People like me. Month 9. Warren's younger brother Kyle has always been an investor in TechFlow. Not a board member, just a family shareholder with about 2% of the company. I see a filing that Kyle has sold his entire position. It's disclosed publicly, as required. He sold 90,000 shares at $8.50 per share. I can't buy that much. I don't have $700,000. But I buy what I can. Another 300 shares. Then something strange happens. My phone buzzes. A text from Kyle. Hey Kayla, how's it going? We should grab coffee sometime. I haven't spoken to Kyle since the divorce. This text is random. Too random. Then another text arrives immediately after. Sorry, that was meant for Warren. My bad. He texted me by mistake. Meant to text his brother. Which means Warren and Kyle are talking about me. Which means Kyle remembers I exist. Which means Warren is starting to worry. And he should be. Because he finally remembers I exist. Month 11. A former colleague from TechFlow reaches out. Her name is Simone. We weren't close, but we always respected each other. She asks to meet for lunch. Her voice shakes when we sit down at a cafe in Coral Gables. I need to tell you something, she says. And I need you to promise you won't say it came from me. I promise. She slides a folder across the table. Inside are printed emails, board presentations, and internal memos I've never seen. They show Warren and 2 other executives approving contracts with vendors owned by their family members. They show bonuses paid in violation of board policies. They show compliance warnings ignored. Why are you giving me this? I ask. Simone looks down. Because they fired you to cover this up. And then they fired me last week for asking questions. Board-level misconduct. Clear. Documented. Undeniable. I thank her. I don't tell her what I'm planning. But now the game accelerates. I have evidence. I have motive. And I have shares. I pause. For 3 days, I don't do anything. I just think. This could ruin people. Warren. His colleagues. Maybe even crash the company. Employees who did nothing wrong could lose their jobs. Investors could lose money. My revenge could have collateral damage I can't control. I sit with that. But here's the truth. I'm not creating the problem. The problem already exists. The fraud, the misconduct, the violations, they're real. They happened. I didn't make them up. I'm not planting evidence or inventing crimes. All I'm doing is preparing the truth to be seen. There's a moral line somewhere in this. I think about it carefully. And I decide. Preparation beats revenge every time. Revenge is emotional. Preparation is strategic. Revenge destroys indiscriminately. Preparation exposes precisely. I'm not doing this to hurt Warren. I'm doing this because it's true. And because I deserve to be made whole. I call a securities attorney. I don't mention names yet. I just ask questions. Month 13. TechFlow announces an emergency board meeting. The stock plunges to $7 on rumors of accounting irregularities. A new investor has crossed the 5% disclosure threshold, requiring a public filing. That investor is me. It took me 13 months, but I now own 5.2% of TechFlow Industries. I bought slowly, carefully, across multiple price points. My average cost is $9 per share. At $7, I'm still down on paper. But I'm not selling. The filing goes public. My name appears in the Schedule 13D form. Kayla Brennan, individual investor, 5.2% ownership. I list my intention as investment purposes and potential board representation. That last part is strategic. It signals I'm not passive. I'm active. I have plans. Within an hour, my phone rings. Unknown number. I don't answer. They leave a voicemail. It's Warren's assistant. Mr. Hayes would like to schedule a call with you at your earliest convenience. I delete it. I don't owe him convenience. Please smash the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you keep getting our stories. Drop your comments if you've ever been betrayed. The board meeting happens 3 days later. I'm not invited, but I show up anyway. As a 5% shareholder, I have a right to attend. The board can't stop me. I walk into the conference room at TechFlow's headquarters, the same building where I was fired 14 months ago. Security doesn't stop me this time. I'm not an employee. I'm an investor. The room goes silent when I enter. Board members I recognize. Executives I used to work with. And Warren. We lock eyes across the room. I see the exact moment recognition hits him. His face goes white, then red. Too late. Far too late. His jaw tightens. His hands grip the table. He finally understands the mistake. Not firing me. That was just cruelty. The mistake was underestimating what I would do next. The mistake was assuming I would disappear quietly. The mistake was forgetting that I know the numbers. I sit down. I don't say anything. I just sit there, calm and present, and watch him realize his company is no longer his alone. The audits confirm everything. Everything I suspected. Everything Simone showed me. Everything buried in footnotes and hidden in complexity. The board hires an independent firm to investigate the accounting irregularities. They find inflated vendor costs, duplicated consulting fees, executive bonuses that violated compensation limits, and contracts awarded to related parties without proper disclosure. Bonuses are clawed back. 2 executives are suspended. Warren is one of them. The company issues a restatement of earnings. The stock drops to $6. My position is now down significantly. But I don't care. Because the truth is coming out. And when truth comes out in public companies, leadership changes. The board can't ignore this. Shareholders are furious. Lawsuits are filed. The company's reputation is collapsing. And everyone is looking for someone to blame. Warren's name is everywhere. In press releases. In legal filings. In business headlines. The man who once dismissed me is now publicly disgraced. Including him. Suspended. Under investigation. Unemployable. Month 16. TechFlow's credit lines freeze. The banks don't trust the leadership anymore. Don't trust the numbers. Don't trust the governance. Partners who relied on TechFlow for services quietly move to competitors. The company's biggest client threatens to cancel their contract. The press circles like vultures. Every business reporter in Miami wants the inside story. Some call me. I don't answer. I don't need to feed the narrative. It's feeding itself. The stock hits $5. My investment is down nearly 50% from my average cost. But something else is happening. The board is panicking. They need stability. They need credibility. They need someone who understands the business, knows the operations, and has the trust of shareholders. Someone who wasn't involved in the misconduct. Someone clean. And the board needs that person now. Before the company collapses entirely. I wait for the call. Because I know it's coming. Power isn't taken. It's offered to those who position themselves correctly. The call comes on a Tuesday morning. A board member named Howard Chen. His voice is careful, respectful, different from how people spoke to me when I worked there. Ms. Brennan, the board would like to speak with you about a potential advisory role. Advisory. That's how it starts. We value your perspective as a significant shareholder, he continues, and your operational experience with the company. He doesn't say what we both know. They're desperate. They want my legitimacy. They want my 5% stake to stay put and not trigger more panic. They want my silence about what I know. And they're willing to pay for it with influence. I'd need to understand the scope, I say. Come. Professional. Like I'm considering options instead of holding all the cards. Of course. We'd like to discuss board representation, compensation, full transparency on remediation efforts. Board representation. They want leadership. They want me. I don't say yes immediately, because power is in the pause. Month 26. Warren resigns. The press release says he's pursuing other opportunities. But we both know the truth. He wasn't fired. He was forced out. The board gave him a choice: resign quietly or be terminated publicly with cause. He chose resignation. No severance. No golden parachute. No farewell party. No applause. Just a terse 2-sentence announcement and an empty office by end of day. He leaves the same way I did. With a box. With security watching. With colleagues who won't make eye contact. I'm not there to see it. I don't need to be. I hear about it from Simone, who's been rehired as part of the company's cultural reset. She sends me a photo. Warren in the parking lot, alone, holding a cardboard box. I don't feel satisfaction. I don't feel vindication. I feel nothing. He's irrelevant now. He's the past. I'm the future. And the board is waiting for my answer. I accept the board seat. Not out of spite. Not for revenge. Out of qualification. I'm the largest individual investor. I understand the operations. I wasn't complicit in the misconduct. I'm clean, credible, and capable. The announcement goes out. TechFlow Industries welcomes Kayla Brennan to the board of directors, effective immediately. The stock jumps 12% on the news. Investor confidence returns slightly. I'm not the CEO. I'm not running daily operations. But I'm in the room where decisions are made. And the room listens now. I chair the governance committee. I oversee the remediation plan. I rebuild vendor policies, compensation structures, and compliance protocols. I bring in new auditors. I fire the executives who enabled the fraud. I don't make speeches about justice or redemption. I just work. Quietly. Effectively. And I change everything. The company stabilizes. The stock recovers. Slowly. $6 becomes $8. Then 10. Then 12. I watch my investment turn positive for the first time in 3 years. Please smash the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you keep getting our stories. Drop your comments if you've ever been betrayed. I don't stay forever. That was never the plan. I stabilize the company. I restore investor confidence. I implement systems that prevent the misconduct from happening again. I serve on the board for 2 years. And then when the stock hits $19, higher than when I was fired, I sell. All of it. Every share. At the peak. I walk away with $470,000. More than triple my initial investment. More than my entire severance. More than Warren ever paid me in 6 years of work. I resign from the board. I move to Atlanta. I start my own consulting firm. I'm wealthy enough to be selective. Free enough to say no. Untouchable because I owe nothing to anyone. Warren. I hear he's working at a mid-sized firm now. A step down. Maybe 2. I don't follow him. I don't think about him. Because he doesn't matter. They fired me to erase me. Instead, they financed my rise.